Friday, March 13th, 2026, AGNDD intelliReport topic. Strait of Hormuz. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this partially AI-generated article-based video. Strait of Hormuz. An exploration of the etymology, ancient history, and modern navigation rules of this strategic passage. Summary of the etymology and history of the Strait of Hormuz. Persian etymology considers the name Hormuz to be from the Middle Persian pronunciation of the name of the Zoroastrian god Ahura Mazda. Another option is the local word Hormog, meaning place of dates. One theory attributes it to Afra Hormuzd, mother of King Shapur II, 309-379 AD. A less likely theory is that it comes from the Greek word hormos, meaning gulf. In the Erythraean Sea, 1st century AD, the entrance to the Persian Gulf is described but not named. The Kalun Mountains, the mouth of the Gulf with pearl diving, the Asaban and Semiramis Mountains, and a market called Apologus near the Euphrates River. In the 10th to 17th centuries AD, the kingdom of Ormuz was here. The name Hormuz is derived from hormog, date palm, and the similarity to Hormuz, Ahura Mazda, leads to the belief that they are related. From the 15th century, the strategic importance of the strait increased with the arrival of Portugal, 16th to 18th centuries, and created conflicts with England, 17th century. Ships navigating the Strait of Hormuz follow a traffic separation scheme, TSS, with 2-mile-wide lanes for inbound and outbound traffic separated by a 2-mile median to minimize collision risks. Passage occurs through Iranian and Omani territorial waters under UNCLOS transit provisions, accepted as customary law by most nations, including the U.S., despite incomplete ratification. In 1959, Iran expanded its territorial sea to 12 nmi, limiting passage to innocent transit. Oman followed in 1972, effectively closing the strait. Neither impeded warships in the 1970s, but 1980s claims diverged from norms. Oman ratified UNCLOS in 1989, mandating prior permission for foreign warships in its waters. Iran signed in 1982, restricting benefits to treaty parties, and enacted 1993 laws requiring authorization for warships, submarines, and nuclear vessels. The U.S. rejects and contests these claims. Summary of the Strait of Hormuz's trade importance. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for global energy trade. From 2023-2025, it handles 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas, LNG, and 25% of seaborne oil trade. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration in 2011, about 14 tankers daily exited the Persian Gulf via the strait, transporting 17 million barrels of crude oil, over 85% destined for Asian markets like Japan, India, South Korea, and China. And by 2018, daily throughput rose to 21 million barrels, valued at $1.2 billion based on 2019 prices. Prolonged disruptions could trigger a severe oil supply crisis for major importers such as India and China, underscoring the strait's strategic vulnerability. The Tanker War, a phase of the Iran-Iraq War, began in early 1984 when Iraq targeted Iran's Karg Island oil terminal and tankers. Saddam Hussein's strategy included provoking Iran into drastic actions, such as sealing the Strait of Hormuz to all ships, which could trigger U.S. intervention. However, Iran restrained its responses to Iraqi vessels only, ensuring the strait remained accessible for international maritime traffic. Operation Praying Mantis was a U.S. military operation on April 18, 1988, targeting Iranian forces in the Persian Gulf. It was launched in retaliation for Iran's mining of international waters during the Iran-Iraq War, which damaged the American warship USS Samuel B. Roberts. U.S. Navy forces, including surface warships, aircraft from the carrier USS Enterprise, and its escort cruiser USS Truxtun, conducted coordinated strikes. The attack involved two surface groups striking Iranian naval assets and oil platforms within Iranian territorial waters, escalating tensions but achieving U.S. objectives with minimal American losses. On July 3, 1988, tragedy struck over the Strait of Hormuz when Iran Air Flight 655, an Airbus A300 carrying 290 passengers and crew, was mistakenly shot down by the U.S. Navy cruiser USS Vincennes, CG-49. The crew misidentified the civilian airliner as a hostile Iranian F-14 fighter jet amid heightened tensions during the Iran-Iraq War. The missile strike killed everyone on board, including 66 children. The U.S. government later expressed regret, paid compensation to victims' families, but did not formally apologize. The incident highlighted risks of military miscommunication in conflict zones. In January 2007, the U.S. nuclear submarine USS Newport News collided with the 300,000-ton Japanese-flagged crude oil tanker MV Mogamigawa, south of the Strait of Hormuz. No injuries occurred, and no oil was spilled. On March 20, 2009, the U.S. Navy's Los Angeles-class submarine USS Hartford struck the San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock USS New Orleans in the Strait. The incident damaged a fuel tank on the New Orleans, releasing 25,000 gallons, 95 cubic meters of marine diesel fuel. No casualties were reported in either event. Iranian naval incidents. In May 2020, a tragic friendly fire incident occurred when Iran accidentally launched missiles at its own warship, the Konarak, during a military exercise in the Gulf of Oman. This mishap resulted in the deaths of 19 sailors and injuries to 15 others. On June 2, 2021, the Iris Karg, Iran's largest naval vessel and a modified Ol-class replenishment oiler, caught fire near the port of Jask in the Strait of Hormuz. Despite efforts to extinguish the blaze, the ship sank after all crew were safely evacuated. No casualties were reported in this incident. These events highlight operational challenges faced by the Iranian Navy. Summary of Iranian ship seizures in the Strait of Hormuz. On April 28, 2015, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy IRGCN patrol boats intercepted the Marshall Islands-flagged Maersk Tigris in the Strait of Hormuz, firing warning shots after the captain refused to enter Iranian waters. The ship was detained near Larak Island over a 2005 cargo dispute. The U.S. Navy monitored with aircraft and USS Farragut. Maersk paid $163,000 initially, later raised to $3.6 million by an Iranian court. On January 4, 2021, Iran seized the South Korea-flagged Hankook Chemi, carrying 7,000 tons of ethanol from Saudi Arabia to UAE's Fujairah, alleging pollution violations in the strait. South Korea disputed the claims. Tracking data confirmed its route from Jubail. In April 2024, Iran's Navy captured the Portuguese-flagged MSC Ares in the Gulf of Oman near Fujairah, UAE, for maritime law breaches. The ship, with 25 crew, 17 Indians, Filipinos, Pakistanis, 1 Russian, 1 Estonian, was steered through the strait. In 2019, the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency assessed that Iran held over 5,000 naval mines, deployable quickly using high-speed boats. By June 2025, U.S. intelligence, likely via satellite imagery or informants, detected Iranian forces loading these mines onto ships in the Persian Gulf. This move was seen as a potential precursor to blockading the Strait of Hormuz, heightening tensions and prompting concerns in Washington about Iran's escalation intentions. Ultimately, the mines were not deployed, and it's uncertain if they were later unloaded or removed. Summary of 2007 to 2008, Iran-U.S. naval tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. In December 2007 and January 2008, Iranian speedboats engaged in standoffs with U.S. warships, with the U.S. accusing Iran of provocation, which Iran denied. On January 14th, U.S. Navy officials downplayed a January 16th incident, contradicting the Pentagon's claim of near firing on Iranian boats. noting they lacked missiles or torpedoes and posed no real threat. On June 29th, Iran's Revolutionary Guard commander, Mohammad Ali Jafari, threatened to seal the strait if attacked by Israel or the U.S., disrupting global oil supplies. U.S. Vice Admiral Kevin Cosgriff called this an act of war, vowing to prevent it. By July 8th, a clerical aide to Ayatollah Khamenei warned that Tel Aviv and U.S. Gulf shipping would be targeted in retaliation. In late July, Operation Brimstone involved dozens of U.S. and allied ships in exercises off Iran's coast. By August 11th, over 40 vessels were heading to the strait, heightening tensions. In late 2011 and early 2012, tensions escalated over Iran's threats to close the Strait of Hormuz amid U.S.-led sanctions on its oil exports. On December 27, 2011, Iranian VP Mohammad Reza Rahimi warned of blocking oil flow if exports were curtailed. The U.S. Fifth Fleet vowed readiness, but oil markets remained stable. By January 3, 2012, Iran threatened action against a returning U.S. aircraft carrier, prompting oil prices to surge over 4% amid new sanctions and China's reduced purchases. The Iranian rial depreciated 12%, with France urging EU asset freezes and oil embargoes. Iran later denied closure intentions, emphasizing Gulf security. The U.S. deemed it a red line, preparing military responses like minesweepers and airstrikes. A multinational flotilla including U.S., U.K., and French warships assembled by January 23rd. EU oil sanctions on January 24th provoked Iranian parliament threats of strait closure if sales were disrupted. In July 2018, Iran threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz in response to impending U.S. sanctions following America's withdrawal from the JCPOA nuclear deal. The following month, Iran conducted a test of its anti-ship Fateh 110 Mod 3 ballistic missile, which flew over 100 miles on a shore-to-shore path across the strait to a desert test range, as confirmed by U.S. officials. On April 22, 2019, the U.S. terminated oil import waivers that had shielded some countries from sanctions for buying Iranian oil. In reaction, Iranian Armed Forces Major General Mohammad Bagheri warned via Al Jazeera, "We are not after closing the Strait of Hormuz, but if the hostility of the enemies increases, we will be able to do so. If our oil does not pass, the oil of others shall not pass the Strait of Hormuz either." Summary of Iran-related maritime incidents. Iran has been involved in attacks on vessels and ship seizures amid political tensions. On June 13, 2019, explosions struck the oil tankers Front Altair and Kokuka Courageous near dawn. The latter's crew reported a flying object hitting the ship. The USS Bainbridge rescued Kokuka's crew, while Iranian ships saved Front Altair's. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blamed Iran, which denied it as a false flag operation. In July 2019, Iranian forces seized the British-flagged Stena Impero tanker, described by Iran's Guardian Council spokesman Abbas Ali Khadkodai as reciprocal action to the earlier Gibraltar seizure of Iranian tanker Grace, one bound for Syria. In 2020, France deployed 600 troops via sea and air under CTF 474 to safeguard maritime trade and reduce tensions. Since early April, the operation includes the Dutch frigate Ryder, French frigate Forbin, and a French Atlantic II aircraft. Iran has threatened to block the Strait of Hormuz amid escalating tensions, following Israeli attacks on its infrastructure and U.S. strikes on nuclear sites on the 22nd of June. The strait, vital for 20% of global oil, 19 million barrels daily, could see prices surge to $100, $150 per barrel if closed, sparking inflation and economic downturn. Analysts warn it's economic suicide for Iran, reliant on sea exports to China. U.S. Secretary Rubio echoed this, emphasizing Iran's vulnerability. On the 17th of June, two tankers collided without security ties or spills. Crews were safe. Iran's parliament voted to close the strait post-U.S. strikes, with the Supreme Council deciding. Guards Commander Kusari affirmed action whenever necessary for sovereignty. Despite threats and Iran's 2025 retaliation on Al Udeid base, oil prices fell below $70 by the 23rd of June 2025, signaling market dismissal of risks as the strait remains open. Summary of 2026 Strait of Hormuz events. Prior to the 2026 Israeli-U.S. strikes on Iran, ship insurance rates for the Strait of Hormuz rose from 0.125% to 0.2-0.4% of vessel value per transit, adding up to $250,000 for large oil tankers. By March 9th, rates surged 4 to 6 times, prompting U.S. government assistance under the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act. On February 28th, following the assassination of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei amid the Iran War, Iran's Revolutionary Guards broadcast VHF warnings prohibiting ship passages. Safety concerns led many vessels to halt or retreat, though 17 oil tankers proceeded. By March 2nd, the Guards confirmed the strait's closure, threatening to ignite intruding ships after reported attacks. Some vessels passed unscathed. On March 3rd, President Trump announced potential U.S. Navy escorts for tankers. On March 12th, 3 cargo ships were struck in the strait, coinciding with the International Energy Agency's release of 400 million oil barrels. Iran deployed about a dozen mines, blocking oil and LNG exports. Summary of Iran's Strait of Hormuz strategy. The 2002 Millennium Challenge war game simulated Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, where Iranian tactics controversially defeated superior U.S. forces. A 2008 article argued Iran could impede traffic for a month, escalating U.S. reopening efforts, though a response suggested a shorter timeline. Iran's oil export-import dependence and allies' needs make prolonged closure unlikely and self-damaging. Neoclassical realist views portray Iran as a reactive actor, providing security in calm times but using brinkmanship under existential threats for concessions. Constraints include sanctions and material limits. In 2011, Iran's naval exercise avoided closure, deemed a political choice. U.S. officials expressed confidence in defeating blockades. Legally, closure violates UNCLOS, ratified by 157 states as of 2026, excluding U.S. and Iran, and the 1958 Convention, unless force threatens sovereignty. By 2025, approximately 15 million barrels of oil per day pass through the Strait of Hormuz, with onshore pipelines limited to 3 million barrels and all LNG shipped via the strait. To bypass this choke point, Saudi Arabia reopened the Iraq pipeline through Saudi Arabia, IPSA, in 2012, offering 1.65 million barrels per day from Iraq to the Red Sea. The UAE launched the Habshan-Fujairah pipeline in 2012 with a 2 million barrels per day capacity, routing oil to the Gulf of Oman and reducing Persian Gulf tanker risks. This ground transport is cheaper and lowers insurance costs. The UAE is expanding Fujairah's storage to 14 million barrels, positioning it as a global oil hub. Analyst Gal Luft likened Iran's control of Hormuz to the Ottoman Dardanelles, noting tensions spur alternatives like Saudi pipelines to Oman, Yemen, and reviving Iraq-Syria routes. This could enhance Western strategies to contain Iran by easing Hormuz dependency. Summary of referenced material. Mohammad Kukurdi, 1997. Kukurd, an Islamic civil at Mehran River 3rd edition Dubai, appears to be a bibliographic citation for a work by Mohammad Kukurdi, likely a misspelling of Muhammad Kukurdi, focusing on Kukurd or Kukurd, a historic district in Bastak County, Hormozgan Province, Iran. It describes Kukurd as an ancient Islamic city or civilization along the Mehran River, known for its archaeological sites including ruins, mosques, and water systems dating back centuries. The citation references Atlas Gitashanasi Ostanhai, Iran, Gitashanasi Province Atlas of Iran, a geographical and tourist atlas published by Gitashanasi Institute in Iran. This atlas provides detailed maps, descriptions, and images of Iran's provinces, including cultural, historical, and natural features of areas like Hormozgan. The third edition, Dubai imprint, likely includes updated cartography and insights into regional Islamic heritage. Overall, the work highlights Kukurd's role in Iran's Islamic history, emphasizing its riverside location and civilizational significance. Tourist attractions around the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway between Iran and Oman, offers stunning natural and cultural sights. On Iran's side, Keshem Island features the UNESCO-listed Hara Mangrove Forest, dramatic Valley of Stars rock formations, Chaku Canyon, and pristine beaches for eco-tours. Nearby Hormuz Island dazzles with rainbow-colored soils, salt caves, and red beaches ideal for hiking and photography. Oman's Musandam Peninsula, dubbed the Norway of Arabia, boasts fjord-like inlets, perfect for dhow cruises, dolphin spotting, and snorkeling in crystal-clear waters. Kasab town offers forts, markets, and mountain safaris. Activities include diving amid coral reefs, visiting ancient petroglyphs, and exploring fishing villages. Safety note: check travel advisories due to regional tensions. Accessible via ferries from Bandar Abbas, Iran, or flights to Kasab, Oman. The Strait of Hormuz, with its rich history and strategic importance, remains a vital global energy highway, and its legal disputes continue.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD intelliReport, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.